Every community is vulnerable to natural or man-made disasters. Regardless of origin, each disaster presents unique health hazards. Superstorm Sandy, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and the World Trade Center attack illustrate the diverse ways disasters threaten communities and public health. With a disaster, the immediate focus is on saving lives and protecting health. With those needs met, attention turns to health threats to responders and to nearby communities. For instance, what might be the impact on communities due to wildfires, floods, or the release of toxic substances from Superfund sites and oil refineries? How is the impact to be understood, measured, mitigated?
How do we even figure out what are the important questions and gaps? How do we look at that information quickly and go, well, do we know anything about this chemical? Do we know anything about these exposures? Or should we be concerned about kids? Should we be concerned about who and what and where?
To address these questions, public health experts, academics, and responders have called for the integration of research with emergency response. Research following disasters supports recovery and also helps prevent injury, illness, disability, and death. That's the rationale behind the National Institutes of Health Disaster Research Response Program. Known as DR2, the program is designed to begin research quickly after a disaster and to involve the community in the work.
Some of the things we've done in the Disaster Research Response Program at NIH is we started trying to make tools available to the research community and others and public health people, questionnaires, surveys, instruments, consent forms, all sorts of things along those lines.
NIEHS hosted exercises in Los Angeles, Houston, and Boston. The goal was to increase understanding of disaster research response. Academic, government, industry, community, and environmental groups, as well as first responders, discussed the best tools and strategies to protect communities after disasters.
We want this to be an integrated, coordinated, and inclusive process to build new strategies, initiatives, and partnerships to better prepare today for the next incident that we will face tomorrow, and of course, we will face tomorrow.
A little brief overview.
Key principles emerged from the meetings in the 3 cities: incorporating diverse stakeholders, empowering local researchers and responders, anticipating future needs. Participants agreed that disaster research should include the community and a broad variety of individuals and organizations.
Probably the United States, the world's greatest network of environmental health researchers and toxicologists and epidemiologists. How do we bring them, the academic groups, to the table to be a national asset, to be able to contribute to these situations in a functional way?
We talked about how we would prepare in advance to know who we need to bring at the table and how we would convene them if the Office of Preparedness and Emergency Management did this or some other entity did this. How you would organize the group that was convened, who else would need to be at the table, so you need to bring people together and then do an immediate gap analysis to identify who's not there.
It cannot be underestimated the importance of collaborating with the city and county and state health departments. I think for companies to understand what capabilities exist by these other public health entities, not only will help us partner with them to meet the community need, but will also help us meet the needs of our own workforce.
Our program was involved with organizing the disaster response scenario in LA a couple years ago. And one of the biggest values to us was to reach out to local government officials, local community organizations, and bring them together to participate in this event. It's been helpful as a result of this activity in Southern California to be able to have those relationships sort of moving forward.
A saying in the response community is that all response is local. The same holds for disaster research.
A great point from our representative from New Orleans was, is that community dispersed? Or are they still in that area? They're dispersed to other areas beyond Chelsea and East Boston. How can we track those individuals? How can we communicate with them and work with other municipalities?
Local communities must be engaged in the design, implementation, and analysis of disaster research.
I think from the federal perspective, the most important thing, given the 15 years of disaster response that we've supported communities and states in is to listen to what communities want and to really have an ear toward not just answering research questions that the academic institutions care about, and they are very important, but also to listen to community members whose questions may be aligned with what the academic researchers are interested in, but also may be quite different.
So if we lead with community first, we might get this right. And I say that to say we can create all the tables we want, but if the tables aren't created equitably, where community voice really matters, we're not going to engage community effectively. So I think one of the next steps I would say for each of us as individuals is to really understand what community engagement is and what it requires of us all.
Some of what I've taken away can be summed up in 4 words: community, communicate, cooperate, and all that will build trust.
The tabletop exercises underline the importance of addressing both short and long-term issues. Responders must deal with immediate challenges and anticipate future challenges and address community concerns.
Thousands of citizens were asking questions about, is it safe to return to New Orleans? Should I move back home? Not 10 people, how about a whole city asking that question? And those questions were answered at different points on different topics. Is the water safe? Is the soil safe? Is the air safe?
What do we really understand about those environmental exposures? We get a gamish of things. It's always not just one simple release, it's a multiple events, and people really want to understand what are the implications to them and their families. The ability to go back to their homes, the ability to go back to their workplaces, what can we really tell them?
While a lot of time is spent responding to disasters, cleaning up disasters, and on mitigation and resiliency, there are other important areas to explore.
What we don't spend a lot of time in is researching what were the causes, what happened there, particularly in the medical field, what were the impacts on those citizens and those survivors, and what can we learn from that event that's going to make our response more effective in the next event.
What you're talking about doing is launching what we've seen as a much needed, long overdue area of work in filling an important need that's in protecting public health, but also gathering the data to understand and improve what we do going forward.
Disasters, whether man-made or naturally occurring, are a fact of life. The Disaster Research Response Program and NIEHS strive to lessen the long-term impacts of disasters here in the United States and beyond by involving community and governmental stakeholders, localizing disaster research, and anticipating future needs.